Your engine may still start every morning, but that does not mean it is healthy. Every time you turn the key, thousands of metal parts begin moving at violent speed inside a space no bigger than a suitcase. Pistons surge up and down, rings scrape against cylinder walls, bearings spin under crushing load, and heat builds fast enough to destroy unprotected metal in minutes. Most drivers never see this battle, but they feel it over time. The throttle stops feeling sharp, the acceleration becomes softer, the engine that once felt eager starts feeling heavy, lazy, and tired. What makes this so dangerous is that the loss happens slowly. It does not arrive like a breakdown, it arrives like a theft. A little more friction, a little more wear, a little less sealing, a little less compression, until the power your engine was designed to make is no longer the power it can deliver. And because this decline is gradual, most people accept it as normal aging, when in reality a large part of it is uncontrolled friction slowly grinding away the efficiency they already paid for. That silent wear is not a small issue. It feeds one of the biggest service economies in the world. The global automotive repair and maintenance market has been valued by multiple industry estimates at roughly the high hundreds of billions of dollars in recent years, showing just how much money moves through a system built around wear, failure, replacement, and repeat servicing. Yet hidden inside that story is a material engineers have known about for decades. Molybdenum disulfide, often shortened MoS₂, a solid lubricant famous for its low friction properties and its ability to form a protective boundary layer under the right conditions. It has been studied for years in tribology and aerospace lubrication research, and it has also appeared in commercial engine oil additives because of its anti-wear and friction-reducing behavior. That does not mean it is magic, and it does not mean it can reverse catastrophic engine damage, but it does mean the science behind it is real. Under proper use, it can help reduce friction where metal surfaces operate under load, and that matters, because friction is one of the invisible taxes every engine pays from the first mile to the last. What makes this story so compelling is not that MoS₂ is some brand new miracle invented by internet marketers. It is the opposite. This is an old material with a serious engineering reputation. Molybdenum disulfide has been widely recognized as a solid lubricant because of its layered crystal structure, which allows surfaces to slide more easily against each other under pressure. That is why it has shown up in demanding mechanical applications far beyond ordinary passenger cars. In plain language, it helps metal survive contact more gracefully. Instead of every microscopic surface peak biting directly into another, a lubricating layer helps reduce that violence. And when you understand that, you start to see the bigger picture. Many engines do not lose their sharpness because of one dramatic failure. They lose it through millions of tiny friction events that slowly erode the machine from the inside out. So the real question is not whether friction exists. It does. The real question is whether most drivers have been taught to think about it the wrong way. People are trained to react only after symptoms become obvious, after the rough idle, after the noisy valve train, after the weak acceleration, after the fuel economy drops, after the expensive estimate lands on the service counter. But smart maintenance is about intervening before wear compounds into damage. That is where this video turns from fear into strategy. Because if there is a low-cost way to improve boundary lubrication, reduce metal-on-metal stress, and help the engine operate more smoothly, then ignoring it is not just expensive, it is irrational. And that is exactly why this topic matters, not because it promises fantasy. Not because it claims your engine will live forever, but because even modest reductions in friction and wear, repeated over thousands of miles, can mean a real difference in how an engine feels, how efficiently it runs, and how quickly it declines. Today, we are going to break that down properly. No fake miracles, no cartoon claims, just the hidden friction war inside your engine, the reason power seems to disappear long before most cars are truly finished, and the under $5 compound that has earned a reputation for helping metal survive that war more effectively. By the end, you will understand why so many engines feel old before their time, why friction steals performance long before failure becomes visible, and why one of the most overlooked anti-wear materials in lubrication science still has mechanics, engineers, and serious car owners talking about it decades later. Most drivers think premium synthetic oil creates a perfect floating cushion that keeps engine parts from ever touching, but that is not how a real engine lives under pressure. Inside an operating engine, critical parts like piston rings, cylinder liners, cam lobes, and bearings move through constantly changing loads, temperatures, and speeds. In many moments, especially during startup, heavy load, or extreme contact pressure, the oil film is no longer thick enough to keep rough metal surface peaks fully separated. Engineers have a name for this danger zone: boundary lubrication. This is the regime where the fluid film becomes so thin that the chemistry of the surface matters just as much as the oil itself, because some of the load is now being carried at or near the contacting asperities of the metal surfaces. In simple terms, the oil is still there, but it is no longer enough by itself. That is why boundary lubrication is so important in tribology. It is widely recognized as one of the critical regimes that governs component life in heavily loaded contacts, such as piston ring and liner interfaces, gears and valve train surfaces. That is the flaw in the way most people think about expensive oil. Better oil absolutely helps, but even the best synthetic oil cannot guarantee full fluid film separation at every contact point in every operating condition. When the film becomes too thin, wear starts to depend on what protective chemistry can survive directly on the surface. This is where the conversation gets interesting, because once you understand boundary lubrication, you stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like an engineer. You realize that power loss is not always one dramatic event. Sometimes it is the cumulative result of countless microscopic wear events, small enough to ignore one by one, but large enough to matter after thousands of miles. Boundary lubrication is where that story becomes real, because this is the regime where friction, scuffing, and long-term wear can quietly reshape the very surfaces your compression depends on. Now enter the material that makes this topic so powerful: molybdenum disulfide, or MoS₂. This is not just another liquid additive trying to sound advanced. MoS₂ is a real, well-studied inorganic material from the family of transition metal dichalcogenides, and its reputation comes from structure, not marketing. Each layer is built like a microscopic sandwich, one plane of molybdenum atoms between two planes of sulfur atoms. Those individual S-MoS layers are strongly bonded internally, but the layers themselves are only weakly held together by van der Waals forces. That is the key. Under shear, those stacked layers can slide over one another much more easily than ordinary metal surfaces can slide against each other. That is why MoS₂ has been valued for decades as a solid lubricant. Its crystal structure is naturally designed to shear with very low resistance. And this is where the science becomes beautifully counterintuitive. Oil is a fluid, so most people assume fluid lubrication must always be superior to a solid. But in the harshest contact zones, a solid lubricant with the right structure can do something fluid alone cannot. It can help create an easily sheared protective layer right where the surfaces are under stress. In automotive lubrication research, molybdenum-based friction modifiers, such as MoDTC, are known to generate MoS₂ nanosheets or tribofilms in boundary lubricated contacts, and those sheets are strongly associated with reduced friction. In other words, the winning move is not oil versus MoS₂. The winning move is oil supported by surface chemistry that still works when the oil film becomes critically thin. That is why molybdenum chemistry keeps appearing in serious lubrication studies and commercial formulations aimed at fuel economy and wear reduction. Now, one important correction makes this explanation even stronger. It is more accurate to talk about tribofilm formation and surface interaction under tribological stress than to claim a simple permanent chemical plating that locks forever onto every iron surface. Under real boundary lubrication conditions, friction modifiers and MoS₂ related chemistry can form low shear structures in the contact zone, and those structures are what help reduce friction and wear. The effect is real, but it is a tribological process, not magic metal immortality. That distinction matters because it makes the story more credible. MoS₂ is powerful precisely because it works in the ugly, high-load, high-stress environments where ordinary fluid separation becomes unreliable. The numbers make the point even clearer, though they need to be handled honestly. Friction coefficients vary massively depending on test method, material pair, load, temperature, surface finish, and lubricant formulation, so there is no single universal number that applies to every engine, but the literature consistently shows the same pattern. MoS₂-based systems can reduce friction significantly under boundary lubrication conditions, often by more than half relative to untreated or base oil conditions, while also cutting wear substantially. That is the real headline, not a fake miracle, not a fantasy claim that every engine instantly regains factory compression. The real power of MoS₂ is that it changes what happens at the exact microscopic interface where engines slowly lose efficiency over time. And once you understand that, you understand the deeper truth. Restoring smoothness and protecting compression is not only about pouring in a better oil, it is about controlling what happens in the one regime where oil starts losing the fight. If this were just another internet myth, it would have disappeared decades ago. Instead, molybdenum disulfide kept showing up in the one world where failure is unacceptable. High-stress mechanical systems built for aviation, aerospace, and defense. Long before modern car channels started throwing around miracle claims, engineers in the United States were already studying MoS₂ as a serious, solid lubricant for applications where liquid oils could not be trusted on their own. By the late 1940s and early 1950s, government-backed technical work through NACA, the organization that later became part of NASA, was already investigating how molybdenum disulfide could bond to surfaces and function as a durable, solid lubricating film. These were not marketing brochures. These were engineering studies focused on friction, endurance, and surface behavior under real operating stress. That matters, because once a material earns attention in aerospace and defense-related lubrication research, it has already passed through a much harder gate than ordinary consumer products ever do. That is the real military proof angle, not a cartoon conspiracy, but a pattern of technical adoption in systems where reliability matters more than hype. MoS₂ became important because it could function in conditions where design limits or temperature made ordinary liquid lubrication less effective. Early NACA work explicitly described its use as a solid film lubricant in applications where liquid lubricants were restricted by design or operating conditions. And later, reviews of the field described MoS₂ as one of the foundational solid lubricants in serious engineering practice. In other words, the reason people still talk about molybdenum disulfide is not because somebody invented a dramatic story around it. It is because engineers kept returning to it whenever friction became a mission-critical problem. And that is exactly why its relevance to engines feels so powerful. A taxi fleet, a delivery fleet, a commercial operator, or a driver who lives in stop-and-go traffic does not need fantasy claims about immortality. What they need is a machine that holds its smoothness longer, loses less to friction, and stays out of the repair bay as long as possible. That is where MoS₂ earns its reputation, not because it magically makes metal indestructible, but because reducing friction and wear at the boundary contact level can compound into meaningful long-term benefits across thousands of operating hours. Modern research still supports that basic idea. MoS₂-based additives and films can improve tribological behavior, reduce wear, and in some engine oil studies improve operating performance, enough to affect emissions and durability metrics. The gain is not supernatural, it is cumulative, and cumulative gains are exactly what matter in real fleets, where tiny mechanical advantages become large financial differences over time. So the truth is actually more convincing than the myth. You do not need a secret Osaka leak story to make this compelling. You only need to understand how serious industries behave. Aerospace, defense, and high reliability engineering do not keep revisiting weak materials for fun. They return to materials that solve hard mechanical problems. Molybdenum disulfide stayed relevant because it reduced friction where surfaces were under real stress, and because its low shear structure made it useful where ordinary lubrication alone was not enough. That is the kind of proof smart viewers respect because it does not rely on drama. It relies on a long engineering record. And once you see that record clearly, the message becomes simple. This is not internet folklore, not a gimmick in a bottle, and not wishful thinking from car forums. It is one of the most battle-tested anti-friction materials ever studied, and that is exactly why it deserves a place in the conversation about preserving engine efficiency before wear turns into expensive loss. Now the story becomes even more practical, because once the viewer believes the science and the engineering history, the next question is obvious. If this material is real, if the anti-wear benefits are real, and if the friction reduction mechanism is real, then how exactly do you use it correctly in a normal driveway without damaging the engine or wasting money on the wrong product? That is where the final part becomes the payoff, because the difference between a smart application and a useless one comes down to dosage, timing, particle form, and avoiding the mistakes that make most people quit before they ever get the benefit. Now comes the part that separates smart maintenance from wishful thinking, because with molybdenum disulfide, the result depends less on hype and more on how you apply it. The first rule is simple. Do not add any engine oil treatment to a stone-cold engine. You want the oil warm and circulating properly because warm oil flows faster, disperses additives more evenly, and gives the treatment a better chance to reach the high friction areas where boundary lubrication matters most. That is why the smartest approach is to drive the car normally for around 15 to 20 minutes first, bring the engine fully up to operating temperature, then shut it down and add the product according to the manufacturer's instructions. For commercial MoS₂ additives, the dosing guidance is not guesswork. Liqui Moly's own guidance says engine oil additives should generally remain below a total additive content of 10% of the oil fill, and its MoS₂-based oil additive products are commonly specified around a 1.10 ratio, while industrial LM41 MoS₂ suspension is listed at roughly 3 to 5%, with up to 10% only under extreme load. That means your original 5% idea is within the realm of real product literature, but the strongest, safest advice for the script is this. Follow the label for the exact product being used instead of treating every MoS₂ product as identical. The second rule is even more important because this is where people destroy credibility by sounding too reckless. Do not tell viewers to dump dry powder straight into an engine unless the product is specifically formulated for that use and dispersed correctly. A pre-mixed commercial suspension is the cleaner recommendation because it is designed to blend into the oil system more consistently. If someone is using a product like a colloidal MoS₂ oil additive, the practical method is straightforward. Warm the engine, switch it off, open the oil filler cap, Add the treatment in the correct proportion for the engine's oil capacity. Reinstall the cap, and then drive the vehicle normally. That normally matters. This is not a drag strip ritual and not some red line ceremony. The additive needs circulation, heat cycles, and ordinary load to do its work in real-world boundary contact zones. The language that sounds strongest here is not instant permanent plating. The more believable line is that the protective low-friction effect develops through continued operation as the additive circulates and interacts with stressed surfaces over time. It sounds less theatrical, but it actually sounds more intelligent, and viewers trust intelligent. Now for the mistake that can save somebody from a very expensive lesson. Do not use the wrong MoS₂ product in systems that specifically prohibit friction-modifying additives. The wet clutch warning is real in certain contexts, but it needs to be said carefully. Liquimoly's own product information for transmission additives explicitly warns that its MoS₂ gear additive is not suitable for transmissions with wet clutches, self-locking differentials, certain automatics, and wet brakes. At the same time, the company also sells motorcycle-specific products, and even certain motorcycle treatments that are explicitly marked suitable for wet clutch applications. So the correct message is not MoS₂ always destroys wet clutches. The correct message is never use a non-approved friction modifier in a wet clutch system unless the product specifically says it is safe for that application. That version is sharper, safer, and far more defensible. The final truth your viewer needs to hear is this: do not expect magic in 10 minutes. What you're chasing here is not a Hollywood transformation, but a gradual reduction in friction and wear in the operating zones where oil alone gets stressed the hardest. A quality MoS₂ treatment may help the engine feel smoother, quieter, and more protected over time, but claiming that 800 miles permanently bonds it forever, or that the next oil change can never affect it, goes further than the product literature reliably supports. A stronger, more credible promise is that correct use can support anti-wear protection and friction reduction across the oil change interval, especially in engines where boundary lubrication is already stealing smoothness and efficiency. That line still sounds powerful, but it stays inside what serious product and tribology language can support. Here's your outro teaser in the same style. So if your engine has been feeling dull, heavy, or weaker than it used to, this is where you stop accepting power loss as normal. Share this with someone who thinks their engine is just getting old, because old is not always the problem, friction is. Subscribe right now, because in the next video we are exposing another low-cost compound drivers. Ignore until rust, wear, and repair bills start eating the vehicle alive. And once you see how cheap real prevention can be, you will never look at maintenance the same way again.